you know what I just did? I just shot an intro, and the the lighting's so bad, and it's like I lost a week. We're on school holidays at the moment, halfway through, and what happened was I got sick. I've been in bed for a few days, and doctor put me on antibiotics and steroids and all sorts of things to counter a bronchial infection. Anyway. Welcome. I've got the wrong glasses on because I can't read this, but I'll do my best. I've got a guy. First, I want to start with a couple of things, right? So I got this guy said to me, "I'm unsubscribing from your channel," which is normal. People come and go and that sort of stuff, so that's all right. And he was comparing the XC to the XW build and all this sort of stuff. And there's a bunch of reasons for this. And the XW was done. I started the XW Resto in 2013, finished it 2 years later, right? The XC, on the other hand, started in 2015 and it's still going. Now, the reason for it is when we bought this house, we spent the first few years finishing it off, right? Because it wasn't really all that finished and it wasn't decorated the way we liked it and all this sort of stuff. So once we got that done, I started getting into cars again, right? So I started with the Wolseley, I think, in 2005 or something like that, I think it was. And, the Galaxy, a couple of LJ Tiranas. Then I started doing YouTube in 2012 with another Wolseley and got the XW, and all the kids were at school, all the house was finished, mum was fine, work was going great, do you know what I mean? And so I could just use all my free time just doing that. Then things started going wrong. So 2016, mum has a fall. In 2017, we're moving her and 40 years worth of stuff out of Park Orchards into, what do you call it? Independent living in Croydon. And then 3 years after that, we're moving again into high care. And I've been going every day if I could, on a lot of occasions every day. Now I'm down to about 4 times a week I can see her. And I want to make the most of that. I don't want to have any regrets, when she finishes whatever. So there's been a lot of that. Then there was work. I mentioned all this stuff with work and how I've not really had much fun there. We've got a new principal now, I think fantastic. But you work a lot harder. So I don't mind working harder, but it just means there's less time again. So, the fact is also I've taken on other people's jobs. Jobs for my brother. At the moment I'm finishing a Starlet for Graham, which was originally a dog car for Charlie. I shouldn't have bought the thing because I paid too much for it, and it really was neglected POS, if you know what I mean. So I got that for Charlie. Then Charlie's gone there, and then I thought I'll give it to DJ because I owed DJ some money from one of the many trips he did when he was retrieving the XA, and it was going to be too logistically difficult for him. And Graham wanted it, and now I think he's sold 2 other cars of his. And he needs it, so that's fine. So there's another bit of news that's pertinent. I bought another property. Well, the bank has bought another property. I'm not in debt up to my ears. I'm in debt well over the top of my head now. But that's all right too. But I'm not really interested in the property. It's a half acre. It's not far from where Susie lives. And it's beautiful. But I wanted to give the kids the house. I had a house when I was young and did it up the way I wanted. They'll probably live there, like co-inhabit it. I reckon one will probably end up staying there. The others will come and go. Then that one might move and the other one might move in and decorate it the way they want. I wanted them to have the opportunity to do that without paying $600 a week in rent and answering to some body corporate or, estate agent that, because I'll tell you what happened once. When I met Sue, she was living in a place in Croydon, and they came to do an inspection, and they were talking about drawing pinholes in the wall, which we didn't do, or Susie didn't do. And then they wouldn't give her a bond back, so he fought them on that, and then I went and mowed the lawn before the date to move, and they still didn't give them the bond back, so they didn't do the whippersnipping. I don't want my kids dealing with that crap. So I bought this place. They can have it. They can do what they want with it. I am interested in the garage because there's a garage there. roughly the same size as this one. It's shorter. I think it's 12 metres, but it's wider. So 6 cars, I'm hoping. And it can be built onto because it's a large block. So what that'll mean is a lot of this stuff will go there. So a couple of motorcycles will go there, a couple of cars will go there. I'm desperate for some of the cars to be undercover, that need to be undercover, like the Commodore, for example. That'll probably go there. And I'll swap and change what's there and what's not. So to those people who are fed up with my work habits being so fickle, I do apologise. I think the circumstances are ripe now for things to be more stable than what they've been over the last few years. But I feel really, really good and really positive about it. Now, Toyota Starlets are YouTube suicide for me, but don't care. Sorry. There is going to be about 15 minutes of Starlie content in this one because I'm putting Graham's back together. I want him to have a good, reliable car, and the car was a bit dowdy. I'm leaving some things. I did put new plugs in it, then I whipped them out and used them in one of mine, which was kind of naughty, but oh well, doesn't matter. Graham can replace an air filter element, set of spark plugs, and a fuel filter if he wants. It'll have, I've put new coolant in it, given it an oil and filter change, a new cam belt, alternator belt, and all the other stuff that's gone on with it. So if I've got time, I'll do the brake fluid as well, give him new fluids there because that's roadworthy. Brake fluid being hygroscopic does hold moisture, and that therefore reduces its boiling point and efficiency and this sort of stuff. So there's about 15 minutes of that at the start of this video after I'm finished talking to you now, and then after that there's some other stuff. Now the next lot of stuff I've got to film is Jason Hill's, I don't know if you can see it on the stand there, Cleveland. It's a high dollar one. Like a huge, thousands and thousands of dollars in parts he's bought for it. Some of them, serpentine belt kits and billet aluminium with an aircon compressor and looks like chrome, an alternator and a power steering pump. All this sort of stuff, because Jason went over them. He went nuts with it. But that engine has to be perfect. So I've got to measure everything 3 times and double check and everything to make sure it is spot on and very clean as well. So I will be filming that, but it's not going on this channel. That's going to go to him, so he can put it on his because it's his car. There are 4 Clevelands I've got to build, right? There's that one that we've just mentioned. The next one's Nathan, who bought over the 302 from the XC van in that big parts haul we had a year ago or 8 months, whatever it was. That is a re-ringer, right? So I might have to give it to Tony at Speedworks just to punch some cam bearings in. I'll see what they're like. I'm inclined to think we've got to do it anyway, but hopefully it doesn't need boring. Hopefully I can re-ring it. New bearings, rings, gaskets, Welsh plugs, paint job. Make it look like an XD engine, black with the silver tops, and that'll go in the ZK. Yeah, and I'll do that straight off the back of Jason's. And then Jason's got another one, another 302, which is the same sort of realm as that, if you know what I mean. So that'll be a re-ring, bearings, gaskets and all, for his hardtop. And then I've got the XA's one, which is a proper full rebuild. Now, as far as the next videos here are concerned, there's going to be a bit of action between here and going up to the country, dropping cars off and reconfiguring space and this sort of stuff. After I've done that second cleaver, the one I'm going to have for the Fairlane, I'll do the transmission as well. I'll have a Horse C4. I haven't done one for 30 years, but I can remember how to do it. And we'll make some nice content that way. I don't think I've forgotten anything. I feel better now. I'm still a bit stuffed up, but I feel pretty good. And I'm really positive about what we're doing. I've finally cut the back of that EJ off. Ugh. I should never have bought that, but it had some good cuts in it, so I took them. You'll be surprised how I've cut that, because I haven't cut it as in the quarters off. I've just cut across the back and just taken the whole back off. Easier, quicker, and that's all I wanted out of the car anyway. The EJ is one car that worries me a little bit. I will be quite candid about that, because I've spent some money on it and I've got a lot of good kit for it. Those cars are worthless, right? Not worthless. That's really that's not a nice way to put it. I've seen several very, very nice looking ones with books for like 26 grand. And you know, you're going to drown more than that just building the thing. Having said that, if it was something I loved, I wouldn't think twice. I'd do it, but I'm not sure I do. Yeah, I saw an XL Falcon, mint-looking thing that was about 26, and I thought, gee, you know, the value's fallen out of classics. Um, but yeah, I'll see with that. I'm not 100% sure. I've changed my mind a bit with it, but I'll sit on it for a bit. That can come later. I'm not too worried about it. The XA, all right then. So my settlement date on the new place is the 15th of November, and the XA Graham is arranging for the XA to go from his place in South Oz to my place in the country. Yeah. Then the driver's going to come here, pick up the white Starlie, and take it back to Graham. So that's going to be happening in about 6 weeks. So I think we're good. So, bottom end is this, right? You've got 15 minutes of Starlie stuff. If you don't want to watch it, you can just say goodbye. Then there's some more content. Not much, but there's a bit more. So you can just hit that little bar thing at the bottom and go 15, and you'll see the end of the Starlie stuff and whatever else is left. So anyway, look, thanks very much for your patience and listening to my ramblings. Hope you enjoy. Time for more tea. Now, if you want to be stupid and not, you know, accidentally one-off stupid, but truly dumb, you might want to follow my lead. I've mucked up the order of these things, and consequently I've got to mark them all up, all these shims, so I can chart them, because if I put this in the wrong way, 2.95, if I put them in the wrong way, I don't know what each one is. I'll just mark them on the top actually. I've just charted them here so that I can pull the cam out, the relative cam out, and put them in the right spot, because I stuffed up the order of them. Because the reason for it was, I'll tell you what the reason was, I didn't sort out all my room here, all my bench space and everything. It's a disaster. And because I've got this other stuff going on at the moment, 2.935. Well, 3 decimal places. Hang on a second, let me just check that again. 935, yeah, that's it. So I'm a deal. So I've got to put it all together, check the valve clearances and whatever is haywire, take the relative cam out and swap them around. Hopefully back to the original order. I think that's the order they're in, but these are dead easy to do. So we've got a shim and bucket, exactly like the B230 Volvo engines. It's a great setup, and you just mic them. I know that's 3 mil there, this one's a bit under. So this is 2.93. 2.93, whoops, 3. Gosh, 2.93. I'm still not well. I've been sick for a while, and this is what happens, you know. Check these out. These are the bolts. I don't think they come with washers, but there's 2 lengths. Or 2 lengths that are relevant. They're both M9. One's shorter than the other. And we can only use them once. So it should be 8 that length, which is spot on. Good. And the longer of the 2 is that one. And that is good too. Excellent. So there are the bolts. They're now equipped. They go in the bin. And we have to use those old washers too. So we'll clean those up and use them on the new hardware. Now when I put these in, I'm not going to turn it dry. I'll put a bit of lubricant there that'll rub those numbers out. But anyway, just for the ease of reassembly, I've got it all mapped so I know which way it all goes. Just giving it a bit of a clean up before we put the head on. And this should be going in no time as well. Well, there's so much to do. I thought I'd service this little Nova 1991. 119,000 genuine. I bought a gasket for it, and it's been so long since I bought it, I forgot where I put it. But what's astonishing is how clean it is underneath. Look at all the fittings. It's even got an oil cooler on it. Look how clean that is. 1991, guys. And they're not worth anything. So I've got to do a oil and filter change, and yeah, I think we're good after that. It was certainly before I extended the garage. I'll pop a new washer on there. It's worth the question. I actually was thinking about this. How many people bought these cars when they were new and sold them on account of reliability issues? I would think none. Or if there were, it'd be a very, very small percentage. I would think they'd be replaced for bigger cars, growing families, that sort of stuff. But a lot of people replace cars when they don't really need to. They want a newer model, they want to upgrade, or something a little bit less boring than this car. And I wouldn't mind betting a lot of money that they have spent thousands of dollars since, I might just top that up a bit, in repairs, fuel, you name it. I don't think you can get a cheaper car to run one of these. And certainly electric vehicles, I don't mind electric vehicles, but they're not going to be cheap to run. You know, power charges obviously are going to go up, infrastructure is very expensive, taxes will go up. But not just that, software upgrades, component failure, all sorts of stuff. They've got these sorts of things down pat. This is an automatic one, and the guy that bought it, he bought in 1991 when it was new. I knew the guy, and he sold it when he stopped driving at 96 years old. And that's when I bought it for $500. And he died at 100 years old, and I went to his funeral. It was sad, obviously. But all he would have spent on this car is the same as what we have. He would have spent money on an oil change every year, tyres about every 5 years or whatever, and a bit of petrol. Rego insurance, that's it. Cheap to run, very cheap. I guess in most circumstances it's occupant safety which you're doing without in something like this. I say in most, not all, because you've got a low centre of gravity and good visibility, which is something that most of the modern SUVs don't have. They're got quite a high centre of gravity. And visibility is terrible. So, let me finish this and we'll go into something more exciting. Oh, this is a dirty old thing now. This is the one I made out of about 6 different Starlies. And it had nothing. It was a 97, a dark blue one. I've repainted and done everything. Birds have come along, and Flying Horse did that, I think. That's because it lives outside. But I've just given it an oil filter change, and it's immaculate. This is the engine. Oh, the wiring, steering column, everything's out of a red car that was crashed years ago. But it's all looking really, really good. I never got the aircon gassed in it though. I've got too many other air conditioning cars which I use, but I do and I will gas that. I've just got to give it a bloody. Oh, look how filthy it is. I've got to give it a Oh, and some idiot vandalised the door lock. Look at that. So this will probably go to live elsewhere. I'm going to give it a good clean up. And just let the oil filter pressure up now. But this one I put everything in. A Glanza clock and a CD player and 4-speaker, like the Highline ones do. What do you call them, the styles? And all the central locking and power mirrors and everything. The best steering wheel I had, power steering, did I say that? The best knob I had. It's the best of everything, but now it's just run down and it's garbage. So give it a good clean up, put it away, retire it for a little while, and I'll hang on a minute. I'll use that other one. Oh, as we're culling cars into different locations, I'm going to pop that one on the road. This was the one I paid $400 for, and I can't remember if it had doors. I fitted everything to it. I think I changed the gearbox, put a new clutch in. This one had a heap of work. So, look, I thought about getting rid of it. I thought, bugger it, I'll just use it. So, I've got to get rid of the evidence from the Flying Horse. Check the oil on that now, and give it a wash, and we're good. Oh, and I'll tell you why I'm doing all this. Well, I need to do it all. I mean, let's face it. We've got to keep our car serviced. I serviced the two Ford V8s very recently. This one's been serviced. Before I pulled the head off, I would have done the head first had I known, but that's had a oil and filter, that's had an oil and filter. The XC will be due. The Plymouth's had an oil and filter, but I'm not sure about the oil filter on it. And I'll tell you why I'm getting worried about this stuff, because all of the Starlet cylinder head that I'm going to put on today or tomorrow morning, I've got to clear all this and all around here, because I've got to put this Cleveland together for Jason. And what I didn't know, this has a deadline on it. And the deadline is his wedding day. He's getting married. Not until early next year, but I need to make sure this is perfect, because that's his wedding car. So I promised I'd have it done. I think I was going to originally have it done by Easter, but I didn't. And he wasn't ready anyway. But I need to get everything, all the loose end rubbish stuff out of the way, shut the garage doors, I'll leave my phone inside and just concentrate while I do this, because I have to get it right. I have to get it right. The same as any engine rebuild, it's all cleanliness and loads of measuring to make sure everything's clearance properly, because he has got a lot of money in that engine. Just the serpentine kit he's putting on it, which he will do. I won't do that. I'll just use a conventional pulley kit. But just that serpentine kit was $4,000 or $5,000 or something. It's got an air conditioning compressor, power steering pump, everything with it. But yeah, I've got to make room and clean all this up. It's a pigsty. Just going to give this a little bit more of a clean, but it's not too bad. And some of the bolt holes are full of oil, so just cutting little strips, stuff them down the hole, pull them out, nice and dry. So same with that. That's almost there. New set of head bolts and new head gasket set as well. So I'm not going to bother filming putting the head on, because, well, you know, I don't want to. Well, we've all seen heads going on. I didn't film, but I had the head actually sitting on here. There's a tricky coolant line that goes onto the rail, sort of coolant rail underneath. So that's sitting there as a balance thing. Anyway, that's all good. Boy. So I've got short ones of these and long ones. That's a short one. Which goes where? Short one goes in the back, does it? Damn. Yeah, I think the short goes in the back. They should all be nice and easy to turn in. And the long ones at the front. That looks about right. Oh, well, let's just make sure. So I measured every shim, I know what they are. There's a lubricator around where the bucket goes. And free as a bird. I just love the machine work in these things. I'm trying so hard to like EVs and I just don't, you know. I might have a new seal for that. I'm really trying. But they don't sort of stand for anything I really like. Yeah, these have got two marks, two dots. We're going to make sure they're lined up, which I think I've got that lined up there. But there's just the engineering in these things is beautiful. It's a 1.3, there's nothing to it. And they don't make much power, but they can. Matt Berry's getting, what's he getting out of them? 400 odd horsepower. With a huge amount of turbocharged boost, and I think they're 5Es. I'm not sure they're 4Es. But I think at that sort of boost it doesn't make much difference anyway. I just love these things. They're such a cool thing, you know. Going around checking the valve clearances. 12 to 16 on the exhaust. The ones I can reach. That's 12. 16 doesn't go, so that's good. And we'll just go around and make sure it's all good, because there was that small chance that I'd mixed up a couple of the buckets. That's where I measured everything. Alright, well, I've got it sort of put together as much as I would to start it. I haven't got the other belts on. Let's stick a bit of new concentrated coolant in, and I'll top the rest up with water. I'll give it a stab in the guts and see what happens. Oh, I hope and pray this is good, because if it's not, I just have to give it to him the way it is. I'm over budget and over time with it. It's perfect. I'm pretty happy with that. What a day. I've had to clean up around here. I haven't weeded that garden yet. Did the hedges. Moved all the cars out and pulled the back off the EJ. I've pulled it off. Oh, there's a spare bit of boot lid there. What do you call it? No. What's that called? The floor. There it is there. And I've only taken half the rear guards because I just wanted that whole sort of rear clip, as it were. Half a boot lid. I cut that too. That's stuffed. It's all rusty. The reason is, if I end up using that, that's cool. If I don't, I'll hang it in the garage, poking at the wall, with taillights and bumper and everything. So it's pretty funny. I just want to leave it in one piece and leave that sort of rear panel, interior panel, all in one piece as well. Coming up, look at what I've done to the car. That's really knackered. And I want to get rid of it now. It's still got a couple of good cuts on it. Like, it's got the parcel tray and the roof. Man, look at that. I've got to hide it from the neighbours. What a bloody mess. Alright, so what I've done is I've left that because all of that in mine is great. And there's like an angular cut for that whole rear section. And that's the bit I want to keep. I didn't want to keep anything else. That's the wrong way to do it. I don't care it's the wrong way to do it. It was a lot quicker. I was out of this very, very quickly. And I don't want the rear axle. I'll take the wheels and I'll get Steve to come and pick it up. But that is as much as I want from that. Well, finally the old EJ is gone, the red one. Got rid of heaps and heaps of scrap metal and rear suspension springs. I had some front springs to get rid of, and gosh, you name it. Such a clean-up. Bit of junk there to get rid of. The other thing I've been doing is I've started on Jason's motor. Still a bit of cleaning up to do in here. Not too bad though. And I'm starting to get the engine stand out. I got rid of one of those too. They weren't a ton. Whoa. Right. Stuck a couple of LEDs in there. We'll put another couple up the top here. They're old LEDs from my brother's house. Might as well use them. They're more efficient than the 21 watt globe we had here before. But I'm getting this engine stand out now to run Jason's engine in once I'm finished assembling it. And making more room, you know. Threw away stacks. Doesn't look like it, but I've thrown away stacks and stacks of stuff. So once we get to this new house, a lot more will be gone. Jason Hill's engine. I spent pretty much all day just getting the rotating assembly in, measuring absolutely every ring, every clearance. Now this is the first one I've done which has 302 rods and a 351. I've never done one of those before. No biggie. Just looks like a standard 351 engine. It will have lots of decorative stuff going on it soon. So the video for this is one I'm shooting at the moment, and that will go on Jason's channel. And he'll obviously add and subtract for it as he needs to. Anyway, thanks very much for watching this. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.